LinkedIn believes B2B marketing can be B2 brilliant, B2 bold, and B2 breakthrough. How? With a platform purpose-built to make B2B marketing mean more for your business. A platform with tools to help you build better relationships with your key customers, to boost your buyer's journey while building your brand. A platform with trusted data and lead generation you need to beat your KPIs, drive ROI, and stand out amongst the competition. And with the targeting tools on LinkedIn, you can reach your precise audience right down to their job title, company name, location, and more to make sure your ads are always seen by those who matter. So let's get ready to be too boldly go where no marketer has gone before, because LinkedIn is where B2B is everything it can be. Rethink your B2B marketing ads and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. So the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I'm Seth. Here with me today is Justin Copenhaver. Justin is the chief bottle washer, the CEO. I'm not even going to try and explain it. I'm going to have you explain it. What is Urality?
Well, Urality has been a lot of things over time, but where we've really in terms of what we're doing now is really looking to serve communities through amplifying everything that is happening locally within those communities.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the shortest, most distilled version I can say.
And it's over at urality.com, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Justin, you've been an entrepreneur doing this for what, 3 or 4 years now? Is that what it's been?
So historically, I started this back in 2017. The current version of what we're working on started in 2019.
Oh, okay. But we met back, I think, in 18. And I remember
Yeah.
you were working on some version of kind of the site itself, and you're
Yes.
kind of like building it out and seeing where things were and building the plane while it's flying, which is how some of the best things are made. Is you just got to start building. And
That is very true. And that's basically how we've built the plane while it's been flying the entire time.
and you haven't crashed, which is a good thing.
I mean, yeah, let's
You've
say we
only,
haven't crashed.
exactly, may hit some turbulence, but that's
Of
fine. So,
course.
some bumps. Everyone has some bumps. So Justin, you
Yep.
haven't always been an entrepreneur. You've worked in corporate, haven't you?
Yeah. So going back before I started this, to give you a little bit of background, my schooling is in software engineering. And so when I finished that up, I've worked at various organizations, from startup size all the way to IBM. That was where I was
Wow.
previously
Hmm.
when I finally got the itch to do my own thing, right? And so I worked the corporate life before I started the
Hmm.
startup. I realized that this is something that I wanted to do with my life. And so I gave myself a bit of a runway and just cut the cord and started working on things.
That's the way to do it. You went from Big Blue all the way to Urality, and I mean, honestly, I feel like a lot of people who I've talked to are like, I did a corporate, I liked it, I didn't like it, it was okay, but I needed to be my own boss. I needed the freedom, which brings us to the first question. What is the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
The flexibility. I love the concept of making my schedule and deciding how I want to spend my days. And truthfully, that can be anything from the standpoint of like, not that I take advantage of it that often, but if I want to leave the house in the morning and go down to a local trail for a walk or something like that, I'm not beholden to being in an office by 7:30, 8 o'clock
Hmm.
and jumping into a meeting as soon as the day starts. And I think that has been one of the biggest unlocks from the standpoint of living the entrepreneur life.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like the idea of not having someone looking over your shoulder all the time or thinking that someone's looking over your shoulder. I mean, there's some corporate jobs where they say get your job done and go home. I mean, there's some other jobs where they're on you constantly. Like if you're not sitting at your desk for 40 hours, you're not doing a good job. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. LinkedIn believes B2B marketing can be B2 brilliant, B2 bold, and B2 breakthrough. How? With a platform purpose built to make B2B marketing mean more for your business. A platform with tools to help you build better relationships with your key customers, to boost your buyer's journey while building your brand. A platform with trusted data and lead generation you need to beat your KPIs, drive ROI, and stand out amongst the competition. And with the targeting tools on LinkedIn, you can reach your precise audience right down to their job title, company name, location, and more to make sure your ads are always seen by those who matter. So let's get ready to be too boldly go where no marketer has gone before because LinkedIn is where B2B is everything it can be. Rethink your B2B marketing ads and get $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I think about the work that I've done in the past. I've always been the kind of person who, when I'm working at that job, I'm going to put my 100% toward it. The problems that I always ran into with doing work for someone else is that if you're good at your job, you get more work, and the idea of having to you know basically take on more responsibility than what was necessary all the time, and becoming somebody who I understand, like, if you have to have a leadership mindset in order to be an entrepreneur in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get in front of folks and you are acting as a leader, whether it's you know in my from my perspective, I was a technical leader. So um, being in a leadership position, I understand that you take on more responsibility. Um, Sometimes that responsibility wasn't really reflected in how work was being distributed amongst people.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the grand scheme of things, when I decided to do this myself, I knew that the work that I was putting in, even though I understood that it was going to be a lot of work, in the grand scheme of things, isn't all that much different than what I was doing day to day. I
Mm-hmm.
just see the benefits of it more
Yeah,
because
it's your
I am the
baby.
responsible party. Yes.
It's your baby, and it's your thing. You're not doing something for someone else, and I think that's a big part of it, is that you reap the rewards. And
Yep.
on the flip side, what is the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur for you?
The scariest thing is stability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Made the realization over time that there is some really nice incentive to working for someone who can give you a parachute in the grand scheme of things. So, like, if I'm working at a corporate job and I happen to get laid off, there is this concept of unemployment, and
Yeah.
I can have a nice landing. When you are the sole person in front of what you're doing, there is no parachute. Uh,
There
when there
isn't.
when there's when there's a fire, you are the firefighter. You are the person who is going to be the responsible party. So there is a lot more responsibility to it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, when I weigh those things, I'm still I'm still here. I'm still doing this, and that's you know
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I mean that you said so well that it is scary because like when you do a close-up shop, guess what? You don't get unemployment because you were your own thing. No one, you
yep.
weren't paying into unemployment for yourself. So it's like, all right, gotta go do something. Hence the reason why
And
I'm
I
still an
know,
entrepreneur.
and in the grand scheme of things, I understand that that's a pretty basic answer, but
Yeah.
it's sort of speaking to the fear of starting your own thing in the first place, because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people they want that security, but um, yeah, it's a scary position to be in. Um, I'm not exactly sure how else to put it other than,
But-
you take the good with the bad, and I've just, so far I'm still saying, like, I want to be here, I want to be doing this.
and that's really what it is. And when you realize you don't want to do it anymore, you go do something else.
I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to do that now that I've started this. Truthfully,
Yeah.
it's now that I've done it for the past, 4 to 5 years. I have this mental block. Um, the thing I tell a lot of people is, if I ever have to create a resume again,
Oh
I
God.
it's over. I don't want to do it. I have no desire to work for someone else moving forward. It's just not something that I see myself doing for the
Hmm.
entirety of the rest of my life.
Well, there you go. I mean, a lot of people, like I say myself, I tell my wife, no one's going to hire me. 14 years into Goldstein Media, I'm set in my ways. If someone wants me to do something else their way, it's going to be really a slog for me to get there, if I can even get there. So,
A lot of it comes down to learning tools that you can use to work with other people in entrepreneurship in the first place. And I think that's really been the gain from my perspective, is how much growth I've done outside of the usual stuff that I had to do day to day in order to get my job done.
mhm.
Not so much that communication skills have, like, gotten so much better or anything like that. It's just that how you interact with people and how you spend your time, you sort of learn the ways of maximizing that, as opposed to, um, you know, when you're working at a job with another company, you sort of have your set ways of communicating with people. You get a lot more freedom and autonomy to think about different ways of communicating with people. I know from my perspective, working with other people now, um, just having that ability to say, I do my best work talking to people in the afternoons because I do my better head down work in the mornings.
Hmm.
I've decided to structure my days like that, and
Yeah. And you
it
can.
actually works. And you can. And I
Hmm.
think that that's, not to go too far of an aside here, but this remote work thing that's been happening over the last couple of years, I think people are starting to understand that there are ways to optimize your work days. And I think it's important to look at where you're most effective during
Hmm.
the workday and scheduling your work around that, as opposed to being beholden to going to a meeting at this particular time every day, and um and living your life that way. That's not necessarily how everyone should be. So,
Hmm.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll get right back to the show. Hey, gang, I've been listening to a great podcast that I think you need to check out. It's called Business Brain, and it's by two longtime business owners, Dave Hamilton and Shannon Jean. Each week, they talk through the ups and downs of running your own business and give you tips on how to be successful running that small business. In addition to Dave and Jean, you will hear from successful business owners talking about real world problems that they face in their small businesses, letting you know you're not alone. Three of the many topics that resonate with me are the supply chain crisis explained, action oriented leadership, and this one really hits home, ADHD, and owning a business. So, no matter where you are in your journey, Dave, Shannon, and the Business Brain community is here to help. Start engaging with them over at businessbrain.show or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you tell them I sent you, you'll get their book, We Love Mistakes, for free. Again, that's businessbrain.show or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
And there's some people that are made out to be entrepreneurs, and there's others that are meant to be in the cogs. And, to each their own. Some people are even entrepreneurs and are able
yep.
to, and that's a whole nother beast. Being able to
Mm-hmm.
build something out within a company. I mean, that's
Yep.
talent right there, in my opinion. I could never do that. So here's another question for you. What is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? This can be metaphysical, this could be physical. There's no right or wrong answer.
Hmm. Okay, I think I have two answers for that.
I love it.
The number one, a physical item, is a notebook. I
Hmm.
have a notebook pretty much everywhere I go now. because you absolutely have no idea when you're going to have a thought that is a valid thought in order to like move something forward. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's number one. I carry a notebook with me all the time, and if something happens, I scramble to do that. Uh, Quick aside on that, I find that writing things down is still a better option for me to retain that knowledge than typing it into a phone.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people have gotten used to using, you know, online tools for writing stuff or for taking notes and such. For me, putting the pen to the paper is still a thing
There you
that
go.
really makes that stick. Um, Number two is not a physical thing, but is, how do I want to word this? So I've had a hard time in the startup realm and the entrepreneur realm with imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I have realized is when you have a conversation with someone, they are literally in the same boat as you. They are a human. They are human. They more than likely put their pants on the same way as you do. That's the thing I use. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I remind myself. And so when I'm, you know, when I feel nervous, when I feel these feelings of not not being up to par with someone else, it's just to realize that they're human, and as long as we can meet somewhere in the middle and have a conversation that's valuable to both of us, I think it's important.
Oh, absolutely. And I have found, my aside is I found that everyone seems to put on their game face and all that, but inside they're still like, did I do that right? What does so and so think about this or that? And so it's
Yeah.
just knowing that we're all going through the same thing.
I think humanity is important, and people need to realize that, you know, truthfully, today up to this point has not been my best day in the world, but I'm here and I'm doing this thing, and I
Hmm.
realize that, you know, I'm taking an opportunity to talk about myself, which is something that I've struggled with over time. So,
Hmm.
yep.
And it's good practice, exactly. So Justin,
Oh yeah.
where can people find you online? Obviously, there's Urality.com, which is the
Okay.
product. Where
So
else?
let's
Where do you hang out? Where
where
can we find Justin talking?
where do we find Justin? So most of the time I'm spending on LinkedIn nowadays and Twitter, which I have reluctantly gotten back into over the last 6 months. And I'm realizing that there are more people there than I anticipated who care about the same things I do. I've really, since we've moved towards focusing, and now I'm speaking from a Urality perspective,
Yeah.
focusing on the local scene and what's happening local.
Hmm.
I've always been a proponent of supporting local business and uh, building local presence and building local skills. So there's a lot of folks in the urbanism movement that post on Twitter
Hmm.
several times a day, and so I really see um, I've focused more my energies more towards urbanism as time has gone on, because I really do see that urbanism, density, um, walking and biking places
Yeah.
is kind of the cool way, not only the cool way to live, but like an environmentally responsible way to live.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So LinkedIn's the place to be, and Urality is the site. Justin, thank you so much for being on. This is such a joy. Great chatting with you, as always.
You got it, Seth. Thanks a lot.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast trusted of your choice. We're on all of them, and these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link. to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
This podcast is coming to you on MPN, the Marketing Podcast Network. There's another show on MPN you might want to check out.
What if everything you know about marketing and sales is wrong?
Okay, let's not be overly dramatic. What if 20% of what you assume about marketing and sales is wrong?
Marketing and sales are full of myths and misconceptions. So join us on the Rethink Marketing podcast, where we test conventional marketing and sales concepts to see which ones hold water.
And which ones simply don't.
Let's not undersell it. Find marketing enlightenment on the Rethink Marketing podcast, wherever you choose to enjoy your podcasts.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.